introduce everybody, please give a warm Aurora welcome from Waja. The pitter and patter of rain had transformed to a torrential downpour. She stood, looking out through the rain-streaked glass, her first view of Toronto at night. Hazy light seen through a curtain of rain. The street light changed. A breath. A bang as the doors flew open and she was off into the night. She hunched over, protecting her bag containing laptop and schoolwork with her body as her shoes splashed through the newly minted rivers of rain running down Yonge Street. Her target? A subway station, not some 100 meters away. The wind whipped the rain into a monsoon, dashing raindrops like hailstones against her cheek and sinking icy daggers into her clothes. Only halfway there and already she was drenched, wet clothes clinging to shivering skin. The subway at Davisville is open to the so provided little respite. The rain had marked a long, dark line along the concrete platform, showing where the rooftop overhead protected its 20-some occupants. Immediately, she spied one of the few seats available and walked towards it. Lightning split the sky purple overhead, followed by its constant refrain of thunder. Slowly, gratefully, she sat down into the seat and began to inspect the contents of her bag. It was in so doing that she didn't notice the bedraggled blonde girl until she had stopped directly in front of her. So I was on the subway last week, and this random stranger gets on the train and he walks past me. So engrossed was I in my phone that I didn't notice he was there until he had doubled back and stuck his hand out between the screen and my eyes. I looked up with a scowl and immediately, abruptly, shook my head. How often is it that we are asked something by and of strangers? How frequently do we say no? How rarely do we say yes? You see, we are so inundated with these asks from the subway to the street to the sidewalk that many of us, myself, have developed these automatic responses to that ask. And that response, be it with a shake of the head, a raised hand, or word, is more often than not, no. You see, kindness is something that is freely given to friends and family, and yet it is something that for many people must be earned by the strangers around us. Not so for our female protagonist. The young man lounged in his Parkdale apartment. Outside the open window, the wind howled its fury, spattering raindrops against the glass and forcing them through the screen, soaking his bed. He didn't even notice. He tilted his chair back on two legs and propped his feet up on the tabletop in front of him. At his left hand, a half-drunk glass, and at his right, the smoking remnants of his Romeo and Julieta Cinderella. He stared moodily at his computer screen, eyes flickering every so often towards the darkened phone at his right. His friend was more than half an hour late, you see, and patience was not one of his virtues. Lightning flashed across the sky outside, and although the clock on his computer made not a sound, every switch of every number echoed the thunderclaps outside his window. The screen blinked to life, and immediately, before the first ring had subsided, it was at his ear. Hello? It was an unknown number. Hey, it's Emily. What's your apartment number again? Yeah, 2201, 613. Well, where are you? Oh, I'm like half an hour out. I'll be there soon. Half an hour, Emily, you're like half an hour late. We're going to be really late to this event. No, don't worry. Okay, the train's here. Gotta go. Bye. The phone went dark. A little more aggressively than necessary, he tossed it down on the desk. A half an hour passed, and then another. The glass at his side emptied, refilled, emptied, and was refilled again. A new cigarella had joined the ashen remains of the first. With a low growl, he picked up his phone and swiped to the last known number. Hey, where you at? Oh, hi. Is this Emily's friend? This is Sarah. She left a little bit ago. Oh, what do you mean she left? Oh, she borrowed my phone, and now she's gone. Is she not with you? No, not quite yet. Well, send me a message once she's home and once she's met you. I just want to make sure she's okay. Serendipity is fortune's favor, and if we act upon it, it can transform into opportunity. Yet that opportunity is often not fully understood, but with the benefit of hindsight. And in that moment, all I could think of was, oh my God, this woman is so unbelievably late. And so, I waited. You see, the young man there was not a romantic. What he was a heady combination of extrovert, nerd, and eager conversationalist, fascinated with making a human connection. And the connection that he and Sarah would build over time would be one built on the back of a shared love of all things sci-fi fantasy. It's interesting how the inconsequential moments in our life sometimes transform into the most life-changing. Because in that moment, a brief conversation that one evening, a few texts back and forth, a proof of life photo sent later on when Emily finally arrived, transformed into 2 months of daily conversation, which culminated in us finally deciding to meet. That day was warm, the sun was bright, and the air lighter than your standard October swan song. And the hours had never passed so slowly. After much negotiation, we had decided on a space that split the distance between my office and the University of Toronto. But as we reached 5 minutes to, I got a random call. An emergency marketing meeting had been put in place, and that was something that I simply couldn't get out of. And so, 20 minutes later, and 15 minutes late, I finally left my office building and hurried towards that cafe. Now, for that young man, the day was already busy. He was set to leave for Montreal with his friends early the next morning. But he couldn't help himself. In that 5 minutes of conversation, and that one sip of white chocolate mocha, he found himself saying, hey, why don't you meet me after work? It's only a couple of hours, and then we could get to know each other a little bit more. He was, as you can see, very suave. And so, as the clock struck 5, and as he left his work, there she was, and all he could think of was, oh God, I have no plan. What am I going to do with the rest of my evening? But she was amenable to his plan of simply running errands. And so they went and got a car. They went and did laundry together. She sat in a chair that only 2 months ago he had had a conversation with a random stranger over text on some rainy night and watched her pack. And little did she know that this would be something of a reflection of what the next 2 years would bring. Early the next morning, as 5 a.m. struck, he dropped her off at a streetcar stop along Aurora with a, hey, that was a lot of fun. We should do that again sometime. And she, with a tired wave, probably thinking, wow, he didn't even drive me home. And in that moment, there was a change. You see, kindness is often seen as a commodity traded on the open market of time. Every one of us, everyone in this fast-paced world are busy people. We're people who have many things that we could be doing at different times. And so to be kind seems in a way a detraction from that moment. Yet, time pays its own returns and pays them with interest. A single moment of kindness changed my life. A moment of kindness by a stranger new to Toronto, being kind to one of my friends, a simple task of borrowing them her phone, transformed into 2 spectacular years with a lifetime on the horizon. And so now, looking out at the world today with those many opportunities and those random people asking you questions on subways, the question that I ask myself is, what can the next moment of kindness do for you? Thank you.